Dundas from K-Tour the Tornado with special guest Coach Sillavan from the Tornado football team. How are you doing? Good morning, Coach.
Doing well. How are you doing, Mr. Dundas?
Fine. So let's get all the introductions out of the way first before we start talking X's and O's and that type of thing. So just a minute ago, I was asking you, this is your first year and you held up 2 fingers, second year, so which reminds us Ball High School is very large. There's a lot of us and sometimes we don't see each other, whatever. So, okay, so this is your second year, and I know you're a classroom teacher also, right? So what do you teach?
I teach world history.
World history, okay. So, and so you teach all day, and then you coach in the afternoon, or how many world history classes do you have?
I go 4 classes in the morning in a row, and I go to athletics, and I finally get that off period for 6th period, and I go back for 7th period world history class, and then I'm in the 8th period athletics. So I kind of have a long day.
You really do. Okay, so world history, so primarily what grade level is that?
Mostly 10th graders and some freshmen with a few older people.
Okay, so the freshmen, you are primarily ones that have already had U.S. history as 8th graders, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
The rest of them are primarily 10th graders, sophomores, right?
Yes, sir. Interesting group.
Yeah, interesting group, especially when they're mixed or whatever. So world history, so what are some of the challenges of teaching world history? So like day 1 in class, what time, what time back in history do you start at? Typically?
Right now, we're just finishing up like ancient Mesopotamia, which you're talking about over 4,000 to 6,000 years ago, and I mean, a really long time ago, to where some of those kids can't even comprehend how long time ago it is. You're talking about the times of like the nomadic age, and you're talking about 8,000, 4,000 years ago, a really long time ago. And some of the kids, it takes them a while to kind of comprehend of how long ago that was. And you're talking about, hey, there wasn't even villages yet. There's like less than 1 million people on the planet. And then, you tell them now just between here and Houston, you have 6 million, 8 million people just between here and Houston. And for them, that's a big concept to kind of grasp their head around. So,
okay, so that's where you start. So by the end of the school year, where do you finish off with world history?
We go into current. So we go all the way up to stuff that's at like 9/11. We'll talk about 9/11. We'll talk about, really we usually get up to about like the 1960s, 1970s, and then at the very, very end, we'll hit a little bit on 9/11 just because, it was a major event in our history.
And yeah, and what an interesting time we live in to be a history teacher too. Not only a U.S. history teacher, but world history, and all of our focus and problems at home tend to stem from what's going on out of the country, with our friends and foes.
It makes it real. It can make it real fun. Like yesterday, we had a good discussion on stuff that was happening in the NFL and the comments from the president, and it stemmed a really good discussion in class. And some of my classes really ran with it. I mean, one of my classes, we took half the time just talking about the comments that were addressed to some of the NFL players and to some of the basketball players in the United States, and it was real interesting to get some of the the opinions of the kids and let them kind of run with it. And that's a great thing about world history, is you get to do stuff like that in history class, where other classes you can't really get to talk about what's going on. So it was pretty fun. It was pretty interesting as well.
Yeah. So again, it's just an interesting time, and it's a good opportunity, to give your students an opportunity to vent and learn more about the current events, because we all know nowadays they will receive their news off their phones, little snippets. Rarely do they probably ever sit at home and watch a newscast at all. So they only hear things about social media, and then there's that phenomena of fake news out there and whatever. So trying to decipher between fact and fiction. So I think that's where very important. The history teacher plays an important part in these kids' lives.
Well, it's a big. I was just telling the kids. I told them the first week of school, and I told them again yesterday. I was like, I don't know if y'all realize, most of the kids are sophomores. The very next election that we have in this country, they're going to be able to vote. So it's big for them to kind of understand what are the issues, and to really start becoming a young adult, because the next time we vote for a president, they're going to have an opportunity to voice that opinion.
Right.
So it's
big.
You're
exactly right. Big. This group that you're teaching now will be able to vote in the next presidential election. So
it's for them. That's very it's different. I don't think most of them realize it. Next time there's the next election, y'all be 18 years old. You're old enough to vote, and they're like, you should see the look on their faces. Their eyes get real big, and they're like, because it's a big responsibility, and hopefully my job and our job as educators is to get them ready for that opportunity.
Make an informed decision when
yes,
they
sir.
have to bubble in that bubble or or punch in that Chad or whatever on the ballot or whatever. All right, so let's talk football. This we've already established. This is your second year at ball. Did you coach your first year last year?
Yes, sir. I coached offensive line last year.
Offensive line.
Still doing the same thing.
Offensive line. Okay, so what does it entail to be an offensive line coach? What do you do? What is your job mainly?
Basically, we make sure that we're protecting the quarterback. That's probably our number one goal is to make sure our quarterback stays on his feet. And that's a big job each week.
Right.
Each defense is going to bring something new that we haven't seen before, and we just got to be prepared and get the kids prepared and ready for it. And also, we want to be able to, every team wants to be able to run the ball. It's like always the key to success is being able to run the ball, and that it's a big part of our offense. And having those guys ready and to roll is a big deal.
Then you're working this year with the new offensive coach, right, Coach Klinger, right?
Yes, sir.
So I know he's brought a exciting new slant to things, toward football. What kind of offense? If you had to say, what kind of offense do we run? What kind of offense do we run?
I guess it's a.
Is it the run and shoot?
It's a wide open. It's kind of a mix of a run and shoot and spread offense.
Okay.
I really like it. I mean, the guy, me and Coach Brown always give him a hard time because we call him the Zen because talking about a guy that knows his football.
Yeah.
Like, he's incredibly intelligent when it comes to football, and sometimes he's really good at getting the best out of his coaches too. Because sometimes we'll go on the field and he'll sit there and have a play. He'll just make up a play in his head, and he's like, "All right, guys, you ready?" We're like,
yeah.
We'll look at each other and we're like, we were not ready for this, but it's good. Coach has got to be able to coach on the go, and he kind of practices that in practice. So during the game, we're ready to make adjustments and stuff. So he's done a great job so far.
All right, average day of practice, like yesterday. Let's walk through your offensive line. The students show up after school, I'm assuming, right? Okay, so what's the order of business? Do they split up in groups, depending on where they play, or just walk us through that?
On Mondays, it's kind of like our Mondays is an install day, so it's very kind of laid back in a sense. What we do is we'll come in and we'll have meetings for about 30 minutes, and we're usually just talking about our game plan or what we're going to watch a little film on our opponent. And then from there, we're going to go outside and we'll do, if we have time, we'll do a pre-practice, which pre-practice is sometimes I'll try to get some drills out of the way so I have more time during our actual given individual practice. And so like yesterday, we worked a lot on, we're going to see a different front than we've seen in the previous week. So we introduced that front to them and kind of the blitzes that they could see and stuff like that, and just getting them prepared to know or to see and be more comfortable with what we're going to be seeing on Friday. So.
All right, so as we prepare for our big game this Friday night, right, against Texas City, right, in their house, and that's really our opening game of the season, right? Even we've played all these preseason games. We played a few, right? It's we had the storm interruption and everything. Okay, so then we had last week off, so you've got a lot of time to practice, and I guess after a while it's like, okay, we need to get back on the field again, right? It's, everyone's itching. So, all right, so what's our main focusing as we prepare for Texas City? What do we have to be ready for?
Last week, we struggled a little bit against Drake, and we came together as a staff and we just kind of talked about what do we need to do. And so last week was a big us week. We just worked on us. We didn't worry about Texas City last week. We worked on us and making sure we're getting better at what we do and learning how to play to the whistle. And they kind of the first couple of days that they struggled with it, but yesterday we probably had one of our better practices. And again, we're introducing the game plan, so it wasn't a big like strenuous practice yesterday. It was just more introducing the game plan. But man, we started flying around a little bit, and hopefully today we're flying around even more, and so we can just go make plays and hopefully put on a show Friday. That's the big plan.
Exactly.
Come out Friday. It's a big first district game. It's big to be 1-0 in district, and it's Texas City, so it's almost like the Battle of the Causeway times 2. They're in our district. It's a big game, so it's going to be pretty exciting. It's going to be in their house, and it'd be good to start 1-0.
And our side will be packed because it's right down the highway, so
it's
close by. So people don't have to go way on the other side of Houston and those tough games. Out of town like
It'll
that.
It'll be fun.
So I know back to the strength. game, we played a fantastic first half. You know, a lot of people thought, oh, we're just going to be blown out from the beginning. No, we played really tough. And even when we, you know, the start of the second half, first couple of minutes was okay, and then of course we know what happened after that. But you know, there's a lot of positives I think came out of that game too. But like you said, you came out with some things. The us factor. You know, let's work on all this type of stuff. So we're able to identify that type of thing and whatever. So. All right, Coach, there's the bell, and I know you need to, this is recorded right before school, and I know you have a first period, so we're going to let you go, and then we'll talk to a couple players. So thank you very much for visiting the K-Tour studios, the K-Tour microphones, and good luck on Friday night, and we'll all be there rooting for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. So Football Coaches Show here on K-Tour the Tornado. I am Mike Dundas from K-Tour the Tornado, and now we have, stepping up to the K-Tour microphones is football player James Tetley. Good morning, James.
Good morning, Mr. Dundas.
Welcome, and glad you're back again for your second appearance. James has become a regular here, so excited about seeing James. All right, James, so tell us about, this is preparation week before our first big district game, so it's kind of like opening night, right?
Yes, sir.
So tell me what's going on in practice and how you're feeling about everything.
Nah, we're feeling great. Everybody's flying around, preparing for district season going on. First game against Texas City, it's going to be a big one. You know, really means a lot to everyone. Beat them last year, first time in about 9 years. And so, trying to keep that streak alive. Everybody's flying around at practice. We had a little running test yesterday. Everybody did really well. We're trying to get in shape, better shape, so we can stay in there in the fourth quarter and beat them.
Okay, so tell me again, what position do you play?
Center on the offensive line.
So offensive line. So tell me about practice, like practice yesterday and being a part of the offensive line. What did you all do?
Practice yesterday, we worked on what stunts and blitzes they're going to do on the defensive line and their linebackers. So we had a lot of time doing that, and so a lot of preparation, getting a look at like what they do different, what they're going to show us, what stunts and blitzes they're going to throw at us.
All right, so let's talk about, because you really kind of play a special, I mean, every position has its own quirks to it, you know, that type of thing. But being a center, always, even like growing up, just kind of playing football in the yard with friends and stuff, a center is an important position, and then timing with the quarterback, because what if you snap it and then drop it too soon, right, or whatever. So tell me about how unique the position of center is.
Yes, sir. Me and Martavian have to have like a little special connection pretty much.
Right.
That every time like he knows he's going to get the ball right in his chest. Doesn't matter like what the play is, what we're running, what pass, run. Doesn't matter. He's going to get the ball. I'm going to get the ball to him whenever he needs it. Like,
so you work off the shotgun?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And so whenever he needs it, we go under center not a lot, but every once in a while we do. Make sure it gets there, back in his hands. Make sure he has complete control over it.
Okay, so basically you got to develop that trust between both of you, like you're going to make it work, and
yes, sir.
He's going to make it work. All right, so do you do the snaps like when there's field goals and punts?
No, I do not do that.
Okay,
that's
so
more.
Have you had to do that before?
I have. Not too good at it, but
so yeah, so I can tell by your answer that's not your favorite part. That would make me nervous too, you know.
Yeah.
Because you got to have to readjust. So so there's a specialized center that does that.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to. What do you call that when you?
It's a long snapper.
Long snap. Okay, the snap. Yeah. Okay, that's the word I was looking for. So that's a whole nother ball game. Just you don't have to worry about that, right? So, all right. So when you snap the ball, I mean it's kind of hard because you have to concentrate, snap the ball to your quarterback. Then you got to look up as you have a big defensive lineman coming over your head, right, or whatever,
yes, sir.
Or trying to push you over or whatever too. So how do you stay in focus for that?
It's kind of second nature now, snapping the ball. Like, I don't even, like, have to worry about it anymore. I'm just worried about, like, my steps and the person in front of me and who I have to get. Like, snapping the ball is kind of like, I don't even have to think about it anymore.
Right, exactly. All right, so you're a senior, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what are your plans once you, what are your plans for college? What are you looking at right now?
College, I'm just looking around, hoping to get a football scholarship, go somewhere.
All right, so do you have anything that you really, really want to go to or whatever?
Just looking around right now.
Just looking around, just seeing what's going to be out there or whatever.
Yes,
and I think with a center, that's a specialized position, so maybe you'll get a scholarship somewhere, right?
Hopefully.
And you're keeping your grades up and that type of thing. And I know you have a good mom and parents, so I'm sure they're right behind you, making sure you're filling out all that paperwork, right?
Yes, sir.
You've taken your SAT and ACT already?
SAT. I'm taking my ACT next month.
Okay.
Taking my SAT twice. So.
Okay, so did you get the score that you wanted?
Yes, sir.
Just like I know. I'll tell you something offline. I was going to tell you, I know he may not appreciate my son. I'll tell you a story about SAT later. So, all right. So, how's the start of school going so far?
Start of school a little rough because of the hurricane. Wasn't completely prepared for that. We're getting in the groove now.
All right, so I'm back in the groove.
Yes, sir.
So all your classes are going okay and
Yes,
everything.
Sir.
So back in the groove and. So what's your main advice to players, football players that play football, because it's a big time commitment, and balancing athletics with academics?
Always talk to your coaches and your teachers because they'll understand. Like, you're a student athlete, you have a lot going on. Like, your coaches understand. Coach, I got to go to tutoring after school. Make sure I keep my grades up. And they're gonna understand that. They're gonna be like, yeah, go, and then as soon as you get back, run to the field, get dressed, and come out here. Our teachers understand the same thing. You got a game, you got practice. They're going to be a little more lenient on you to help you out.
So I think I think you've already learned the key is open communication,
yes,
right?
Sir.
So if you have a paper due or something and you just ran out of time or need some extra assistance, I don't think there's a teacher in the world that wouldn't be receptive to the idea. Okay, I can extend the deadline a little bit or whatever, as long as you keep that lines of communication open, right? Because I think students get in trouble when they just don't say anything, and then the deadline comes and goes, and the teacher thinks, well, you just didn't turn it in and didn't say anything, didn't do it, then that just sets off a chain reaction. So I think you figured that out. Then you just have to pace yourself, too, just knowing, okay, this time in the evening, it's whatever, I got to do homework or what have you, or maybe you don't have any homework, so you can rest during that time or whatever. Just use your time wisely, correct?
So you got to keep a good balance between school and practice.
So what's your school day like? Do you have a first period? So where do you go first period?
First period, I have AP Physics.
Ooh, AP Physics, okay.
And second period's Biomedical Innovation.
Uh-huh.
Third and fourth, I have BC Calculus, is a dual credit class.
Uh-huh.
Fifth period, I go football, and then sixth period is my last class of the day, and I have AP English 4.
Okay, so who's your AP English 4 teacher?
Miss Schumann.
Oh, yeah, Miss Schumann, cool teacher, right?
Yes,
I always hear good things about her, so that's good. Shout out to Miss Schumann, right? She makes it fun. So I know Coach Brown's in here taking pictures. Coach Brown, you'll probably agree with the classes he just listed off. That gave me a headache just thinking about it.
I know I couldn't handle
you're too smart for this room here, so congratulations on keeping your grades up, and I know you'll continue to do well. I like your advice, just keeping the lines of open communication open, with your coaches and the teachers, because if you do that, then you won't have any problems. It's just when students don't speak up and ask for help or assistance, and that's when problems start, right? Or a lot of false assumptions start, right?
So, exactly.
All right, so to close out, so what are you looking forward to most about the game on Friday?
Game on Friday, it's kind of like our second rivalry. Like Lamarck's our real rivalry. We haven't got to play them in a while. We got to play them this year, thankfully, and so it's gonna be a big game. A lot of competition going on. A lot of heads hitting.
And how sweet would it be to go to their house and beat them too, right?
Oof, it'd be so good.
Yeah, that would be
wonderful.
Game of the year. But we have to take something. Did you hear me go off?
Yeah.
Game of the century. So anyway, all right. So we're gonna wrap up. Thank you, Mr. Tetley, James Tetley, for joining us, and good luck on Friday for the opening of district play. And we'll talk again next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.